Thanks for downloading a 3CR podcast. 3CR is an independent community radio station based in Melbourne, Australia. We need your financial support to keep going. Go to www.3cr.org.au for more information and to donate online. Now stay tuned for your 3CR podcast.
Sabah al-Khair, good morning dear listeners. You're listening to Radio 3CR on 855 AM and Palestine Remembered with Robert Martin, Nasser Mashni and Yusuf Ahmed al-Rimawi.
Palestine Remembered is Australia's only English-language radio program that is totally dedicated to Palestine. We'd like to welcome those listening on 855 and those that will join us on podcast at 3cr.org.au.
Thanks for joining us. Stay with us and enjoy the episode.
Good morning, Robert.
Good morning, Yusuf.
Welcome back.
Thank you very much. It's great to be back. I've missed you very much.
We have missed you too. This week also we have a friend of yours and a very important guest from Gaza. Tell us about our guest.
So Mutasem is a journalist. He also is the manager or founder of Days of Palestine.
On Facebook.
Which is a Facebook page. But he was shot twice during the Great Return March. Lucky to be alive. And so he's going to shed some light on that and also a Palestinian life under occupation. Pretty inspiring stuff.
And also Mutasem will tell us more about the impact of siege on the medical sector in Gaza and on education and on the lives of the Palestinians in Gaza. So without further delay, let's go to our interview with Mutasem Dalloul, a Palestinian journalist and activist from Gaza.
Good morning, listeners. Good morning, Yusuf. And I would like to welcome a guest of ours, Mutasem, who is in Palestine, who is a journalist from Palestine. And I don't want to ruin the story too much, but he was shot during the Great Return March. And somebody that I have been very familiar with over the last few years. I follow Mutasem on Twitter and also Facebook. He has a good couple of pages that he manages. One is Days of Palestine. So Mutasem, welcome to Palestine Remembered on 3CR. How are you?
I'm fine, thank you. I'm pleased to be with you.
Now when we say that, I should actually tell the listeners, you actually shot twice. So I know, and this wasn't long ago, so you're at home, you're probably not able to kick a soccer ball around or chase your lovely children around as much as what we can. Can you tell us what happened about yourself when you were shot, how it happened, and anything else that has affected you by it?
Okay. At first, I took part in the Great March of Return that started on March 30 in the Gaza Strip, which aimed to call for the Palestinian right to return to their homelands occupied in 1948, and also called for lifting the 12-year-old Israeli siege imposed on the Gaza Strip, which turned the life of the Gaza residents into hell. I think many of international officials have said that Gaza will be unlivable by 2020, but I think it already become unlivable 4 or 5 years ago after the 51-day Israeli offensive that destroyed everything in the Gaza Strip and took the life of more than 2,020 and 200 Palestinians and wounded more than 11,000 Palestinians, including 500 children and more than 100 women.
Which is diabolical, and so I understand. I mean, unfortunately, our media gets portrayed differently of what the Palestinians are doing, and I understand the Great Return March is about, the residents wanting to go home, and it was a march where people were cooking, their mothers were cooking, the children were flying kites, and it was a peaceful march. And you're a journalist. So your job is a journalist, isn't it? And so under international law, you are not allowed not only to target children and civilians, but you are a journalist, clearly showing that yourself a journalist. Where were you shot?
I am a journalist, yes. And the first, before speaking about myself, regarding the mothers who were reported that they pushed their children to be killed in the Great March Return, this is a kind of absolute Israeli propaganda, because the Great March of Return, all children and women and elderly and youth, all Palestinians in the Gaza Strip, all from all ages, take part in the Great March of Return. All of them live or suffer. All of them suffer too much under the strict Israeli sea, so that they are claiming, or they are calling for the international world, the international community, to put pressure on the Israeli occupation in order to lift the siege. This is the first thing. The second thing, or the other thing, that as a journalist, I used to go out with the Palestinians for two reasons. Sorry. The first reason, as a Palestinian refugee whose parents were forced out of their home in Al-Ramla in 1948, I want to claim my right to go back to my parents' home in Al-Ramla. The second thing is that as a Palestinian, a Palestinian journalist, I wanted to cover the Great March of Return, the activities of the Great March of Return, and I wanted to report a true narrative about what the Palestinian protesters are doing near the fence. I don't call it a border fence. It is a barbed wire placed in the eastern side of the Gaza Strip, because according to the armistice agreement in 1949, the armistice line, or the green line, is about 5 or 6 kilometers behind in depth of the occupied land.
Also, maybe in Mutasem, on this point, it's also worth noting that Israel has never declared its borders, and there is nothing in the constitution or the Israeli laws that clearly defines its borders. So there are no such thing called borders when it comes to Israel.
Yes. All what is there in the east of the Gaza, or along the east of the Gaza Strip, is an Israeli barbed wire which separates the Palestinian residents of the Gaza Strip from the illegal Israeli Jewish settlers who are settling, or who are living in the illegal settlements along the Gaza Strip. So that I went there, I reported the true narrative about what's going on. I used to see children going close, mostly who go close to the wire or the fence are children and youth. When the Israeli occupation snipers, you know that there are more than 100 sharpshooters spread or stationed along the fence. They shoot tear gas, they shoot live bullets, they shoot exploding bullets, which are internationally banned to be used against the protesters or peaceful protesters, so that the Palestinian children and youth are incited to throw stones and come close to tear down or to tear out the fence.
Just so our listeners know, when you're saying that, when they're going to throw stones, there's no way in the world that these Palestinian kids, not the greatest thrower in the world, could not endanger an Israeli soldier. So the stone throwing is symbolic. It is not going to endanger an Israeli, yet the Israelis are treating it as a threat. Is that correct?
Yeah, and even there is another important thing to be noted here is that when the Palestinian youth and the Palestinian children come close to the fence, they remain at least between 50 to 100 meters far from the fence. They only touch the fence only through certain points, and this doesn't happen all the time. The other thing is the Israeli occupation snipers are stationed at least 100 meters behind the fence, so that if you imagine that a superhero child throwing a stone, it will never reach or hit any of the Israelis on the other side. So that even if the stone is about 100 kilograms, it will not be considered a threat against an Israeli sniper or an Israeli soldier, because it will never reach him.
No, it can't go there. Yeah, no, it's not possible.
Yeah. So that throwing stones is not a threat at all. This is regarding the stones and regarding burning the tires. The Palestinian boys used to burn the tires, which make heavy and thick smoke, in order to cut the sight of the Israeli snipers.
It's very clever.
It's clever. It's clear. And the other thing about myself, when I was shot, before I was targeted, about 10 days before I was shot, I received a threat from a Jewish called Canadian Jew on Twitter. Of course, a fake name, but it is clear that he is a Zionist troll. He brought one of my posts when I described the protesters as peaceful, and he said, and he brought fake pictures from another place outside of the Gaza Strip, and he pointed at the pictures of the fake pictures, telling me, "Are these protesters peaceful? You are Mutasem. You are telling lies, and we will catch you." In fact, I didn't take this threat as seriously. All what I did, I got a screenshot for this threat and posted it on Twitter. And my friends commented and asked me, my followers commented and asked me to block this troll. And I did. I blocked him. 10 days later, on Friday, May 11, I was among more than 20 foreign journalists. All of the journalists at that time were wearing vests, bulletproof vests, with the mark press is very clear on them. You know the vests,
of course.
The journalist vests. I was among about more than 20 journalists. Most of them were foreigners or reporters for foreign mass media. We got close to the fence. We were about 50 meters away from or far from the fence. I received the bullet in my back, in the upper side of my back, and I fell down. And my colleagues, the other journalists, held me until the paramedics came and evacuated me to an ambulance, which transferred me to the hospital. The bullet, according to the doctors, it was an exploding bullet that penetrated the upper side of my back. It exploded in the lungs. It damaged my lungs. It damaged my liver. It caused my partial damage in my lungs and almost complete damage to my liver. So that the damage to my liver put my life at stake. And this is thanks to God that I recovered and cured. doctors, of course, I felt unconscious, and my brothers and my family members told me what the doctor told them about my conditions. My older brother told me that the doctor told him when he signed for the operation, the doctors told him that I could die because of the danger or the dangerous damage caused to my liver. Wow. All of my family members, my children, my wives were very sad, and it was a kind of sad days. They lived when I was unconscious. I remained at least 5 days unconscious and inside the ICU. And when I recovered, I found that my chest and the front part of my body was opened from top to the bottom, and I found the stitches which made to my injury infected. I asked the doctors why the stitches and the injury was infected. They told me that the Israeli occupation used
exploding bullet.
As in addition to the exploding bullet, it was poisonous. It included poisons, so that it made the injuries infected.
More fatal.
He told me, the doctor told me many of the wounded or of the Palestinian or the Palestinian protesters wounded by the Israeli bullets get their wounds infected because of the poisonous material or strange poisons included in the bullets.
It's disgusting. It's disgusting.
This is about a very disgusting. And this is about my situation.
No, Mutasem, it's great that you have recovered. And we say Alhamdulillah ala salama.
Alhamdulillah.
We will be back with you shortly after the break. Stay with us. You're listening to Palestine Remembered on 855 AM, and our guest from Gaza, Mutasem Dalloul, a Palestinian journalist and activist.
So welcome back, listeners. We're here with Mutasem. And just look, during the break there, I was jokingly saying to Mutasem that people that don't know, he's a rather large unit. He's solid. Now, most Palestinians I know are not as solid, and they would have gone through any other Palestinian and hit their mate behind them. So Mutasem has saved his own life, but also a few people around him.
So that's one good thing about it.
You've got to look at the bright side. But also, Mutasem, one thing that, on a very serious note, is that we know that Israel sells their weapons as tested and used. And obviously using the poisonous bullets at the moment is a fact that they'll be using at the next, whatever they call it, the war shows, to say that proudly they've tested it on Palestinian civilians. And, you've got the proud scars of some of their testing. Now, just moving on from your injuries, whilst in hospital, Gaza's been under siege for 11 years. They don't let a lot of stuff in or out, including people. How was it medically possible for them to save you? Were you hampered in any way? Were their lives lost due to the fact that Israel does not allow medical things into Gaza?
In fact, this is a very important question. During the 12-year-old Israeli siege imposed on the Gaza Strip, most of the materials entering to the Gaza Strip or used to enter to the Gaza Strip for living, for hospitals, for everything, were stopped. The most affected sector in the Gaza Strip is the industrial sector and healthcare sector and education sector. Let me speak about the healthcare sector because I experienced this several times during the siege. The first time last year I had severe sore throat and I went to the hospital to have an operation. They didn't find the needed equipment. They didn't find the needed medicine, so that they refused, or they couldn't make the operation for me, and I continued suffering for a long time until I recovered. The next time when I was shot by the Israeli occupation forces during my coverage for the Great March of Return last month, I was admitted to the ICU the first time, and in fact, the doctors found it difficult to help me. My injury was serious, and I could, or the doctors could make or start the treating me at least 30 hours later after I was wounded. Or after I was shot.
So your operation was delayed for more than a day because of that.
Yeah, I was shot at about 4 p.m. or 5 p.m. on Friday. I entered the operation room at about 10 p.m. On Saturday, about 30 hours after I was shot. Yeah. That was because of the severe shortage of medical equipment need for the operation. I don't know where they got the needed tools and the medical tools that were needed for the operation or to carry out the operation, but they contacted different people and different hospitals, and I don't know where really. But this shows how much the Palestinian patients suffer.
It's more than suffering, though, isn't it, Mutasem? It's more than suffering. It's the fact that you would have lost boys, girls, mothers, fathers, cousins, uncles, due to the fact that there is not the medical. Yeah. If these injuries happened anywhere else in the world, these lives would have been saved.
Yeah, I think journalist Ahmed Hussein and Yasser Murtaja, who was killed, the first journalist who was killed during the coverage of the Great March of Return, he had, as the doctors told me, he had the same wound like me. He had liver injury, a severe liver injury, but he passed away because they couldn't offer him medical help immediately. They delayed him for a couple of hours in order to collect or to bring some medical equipment from here or there, or to recycle used medical equipment, but he couldn't wait and he passed away.
Which is shocking. So obviously, there's been many lives, and it's something that the people in our country in America couldn't possibly comprehend. But just more than deaths, how is the occupation? It's been 11 years now. How is it affecting
the siege?
The siege. Sorry, the siege. I mean, the occupation's been going a long time, but in Gaza, the siege. How else is it affecting the Palestinians?
Beside the medical, you mean beside the medical equipment and healthcare sector?
Yeah.
Yes. I'm telling you something which is very important. When when your children go to school, they must walk about 1,000 meters or more than kilometer on foot. 6-year-old child must go more than 1,000 meters for his school in the under the sun, the direct sun heat, in order to sit for his lessons. This is a very, very sad issue. A lot of mothers sometimes accompany their children in order to let them go to school, because they refuse to go to school on foot, because they their fathers don't have money. They don't have money to pay for buses or taxis. They don't have money to pay for transportation. And the government in Gaza isn't able to cover the transportation fees for these children. When he goes to school and when he sits on his chair in the classroom, he studies his lessons without books for at least 4 or 5 months until the books are afforded for him. So that more than half of the school year is spent without school books because the Palestinian government or the Palestinian Ministry of Education cannot send the books from the West Bank to the Gaza Strip through the areas crossing because or Kerem Shalom or Kerem Abu Salim crossing. I don't know exactly which crossing that is used to pass the school books. But the Israeli occupation make a lot of obstacles when it allows the school books to enter the
Now, this is not to mention, Mutasem, the fact that Israel, during the 3 wars that it waged on Gaza in the last 10 years, it targeted schools, including United Nations schools. We are going to revisit the siege of Gaza in future episodes. But before the end of this interview, and maybe if you can give us an answer in about a minute and a half, I want to ask your reflections on the bills that that the Israeli legislators are trying to pass to basically legalize their aggression and legalize their apartheid. Could you please tell us what these laws are and how you respond to it?
Yeah. The first law, which name is the Nation State Bill, or the National State Law, which gives only the Israeli or the Jewish citizens in Israel the right to self-determination. This bill or this law makes the Arab residents of Israel, or the Arab residents of Israel who are the Palestinians who didn't leave their homes in 1948. This bill makes these people second-class citizens in their homeland. The state views the development of a Jewish settlement as a national value and will act to encourage and promote settlement establishment. However, settlement is seen by the international community as illegal and an obstacle ahead of reaching a peaceful solution for the Israeli-Palestinian cause. The second bill, which is the Facebook bill, as called by the Israeli MPs or Israeli parliamentarians, it demands deleting what is considered by the Israeli occupation inciting content from social media. No, you know that disclosing Israeli crimes or an Israeli soldier killing a Palestinian children
is considered incitement.
Yes. And blocking content, this bill blocks content of giant social media platforms such as Facebook, Twitter, YouTube.
In other words, making the social media Zionist friendly.
Yes, of course. And the third bill, and the third thing away from the bills, the remarks or the calls of the Israeli education minister. I'm stressing on this Israeli education minister, Naftali Bennett, who called for the Israeli military to drop pumps from Israeli jets over the heads of the Palestinian children who fly kites into Israel. Even he told the Israeli chief of staff, Eisenkot, you must drop pumps over the heads of these children if they fly kites into the Israeli side. This is a very racist.
This is the nature of the state,
remark.
Racist, and like we said, legalizing apartheid and legalizing crimes.
And look, these are definitely subjects we'll go back to over the next coming weeks. And it was a pleasure to finally speak to Mutasem. And people should actually follow him. So look him up on Facebook. He's the manager of Days of Palestine, which is a fantastic Facebook page. Thank you, Mutasem, for being with us.
You are most welcome. Thank you.
Before we go, Yusuf, I would like you to tell me about your new show. It's an Arabic show. When is it? How can people listen?
The show is called أنا من هناك, I am from there, and it is on 3CR and at 10 p.m. on Mondays. So we started on the 5th of April, a weekly program, but for an hour. I'm lucky to have other good team with me. Tariq and Dareen are helping me, and it covers the news about refugees in Arabic show. So listeners who speak Arabic can also tune in.
I can highly recommend the show. I've enjoyed every episode so far.
Thank you very much. And I think with this, we really value your feedback.
As a non-Arabic speaker.
I nearly missed that joke, I was going to end the show before laughing, that's not good. So with this, we've come to the end of another edition of Palestine Remembered. Thanks for being with us, and remember to tune in next Saturday, same time, 9:30 in the morning. This is Robert and Yusuf wishing you the best of time, and salam.
Bye-bye.